live.
We are
We are
live.
live. All right.
No,
We're
we have
back
not made a
again.
mistake. There is
Let's
no
go.
intro because
We're
uh
under
it-
construction,
we're under construction. This is a temporary thing.
Right.
but we are here. And welcome
We're
to
here.
your Thursday night talks. For
Your Thursday.
those of you who are tuning in, please, please, please phone a friend,
Tell
let
them
them
what to do.
know to go on to YouTube. We're not currently on Facebook. We are on YouTube. Now, when we do the notifications, we will put this show back on the Facebook channel. But right now, we are currently on YouTube. So please, 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 can I even put this on it? I don't think I can. No. So please like and share all of our little fun little gadgets. Right now, we cannot use at this moment. This is the basic until next week. So
Right, right.
welcome again to your Thursday night talks. My handsome co-host, who's always making me look extremely
I'm gonna say like Jesus. Why thou called me handsome?
well, because
I'm
you
here.
are an FOI.
And
And
he's just so nice.
FOIs, right? And he's just so nice. So, with that being said, I am going to turn it over to you, Brother Tony.
All praise due to Allah, beloved family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. I bear witness Muhammad, his messenger and servant. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Abaragani, Hotep, Buenas noches, Sakpase. Greetings in all the beautiful languages that our people speak. Welcome to your Thursday night talks, spearheaded by the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives. The 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives was assembled by Student Regional Minister, Student Minister Patrick Mohammed, soon after the Criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan back in 2020. That was specifically July 4th, 2020. As we are now past our 5th year anniversary, or we're in the midst of our 5th year anniversary. And beloved family, we were assembled to guide our people to better health and wealth, as it is focused on the topic for tonight. We were in the midst of a pandemic, which it was taking lives. And the solution, or the quote unquote solution that was proposed uh, by our open enemy, was to take experimental inoculations. And we were warned by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We were put on an assignment to warn our people on the dangers of these particular vaccines or inoculations. And we were guiding our people to alternative therapies. And we are still doing that. And we're still working towards saving lives through the 9 ministries given to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the midst of the 2005 Millions More movement. And so, Sister Kalila, we can't share the
No,
no, we can't. All right.
That's all right.
So yeah, this is like kind of like the Twilight Zone, Sister
it's
Kalila.
definitely the time. I mean, I don't even I can't even move. I don't have any.
It
It's
feels
all right.
strange. So we
We
can't
keep
put up
moving.
the actual ministry on the screen, but I will read off the ministry to you. We're focusing tonight on the Ministry of Health and Human Services, which this ministry provides for the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of the members of the society. The goals of the Ministry of Health is the fulfillment of the intention of the Creator for every human being to achieve his or her potential for both longevity and good health throughout life. Its efforts extend to the family and the community as well as the individual. And that is what we are doing here tonight on your Thursday night talks. Brother Mark, I hand it over to you, who will be introducing our wonderful and awesome guest this evening.
She is certainly wonderful and awesome.
Absolutely.
Family. Dr. Christina Parks earned her PhD in cellular and molecular biology from the University of Michigan. She is a well-known national speaker on issues of medical freedom who has stood up to expose the truth regarding medical interventions that have been pushed on the Black communities in the United States and worldwide. Her passion is to use her deep scientific knowledge to identify the root causes that throw our bodies out of balance and therefore lead to dysfunction and disease. She brings a wealth of knowledge, helping others to understand what key factors must be addressed to protect and recover their health, with a special emphasis on issues affecting melanated people. You can catch her on Twitter at Dr. C. Parks 1, Telegram, https://t.me/Christina Parks. On Facebook, you put in the website for Facebook /Christina.Parks.752, or on Instagram at epigenetic healing. And that is how you reach our dear sisters. Let us bring to Thursday Night Talks our dear, wonderful, courageous, knowledgeable sister, Dr. Christina Parks. Bring her on.
Excellent.
All right. Excellent. Welcome, dear sister.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Salam. So, Sister Christina, we get right into it because this is going to be a very impactful, but very direct show. Brother Tony mentioned about, the vax that was presented to us in 2020, and our minister, performing a direct order and command, especially for people to avoid this vax. There has been other, vax that has been, detected, after or has already been in existence, but has been newly appointed as these new industry vax. One being the respiratory, is it cyclo virus?
Respiratory syncytial virus.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I have been noticing that, that vaccination is going really like viral, kind of after the COVID series. And I just want to kind of have an idea, they indicate that this is a preventative vaccination, but why is it being used as a vaccination to treat respiratory viruses and not other common viruses?
Okay, are you talking about the new RSV vaccine that was
I didn't know even. See, because where I work, a lot of people ask for vaccinations. And we okay, well, which one would you want? Well, I want the RSV. And I'm like,
right.
Right.
So you're like, what's up with that? Right.
Right. Exactly.
Simple question. What's up with that?
Right.
So I think the reason they're asking for it is because there was a big media push for this newly authorized RSV vaccine. It's not really a vaccine at all. It's a monoclonal antibody. And so the question that I have is, why not wait until they have RSV? Because what they want you to do is take the monoclonal antibody. So if you get RSV within, say 6 months of taking the antibody, then it will help reduce symptoms. However, it will reduce symptoms once you have it as well. As far as I know, I'm not familiar with the testing for this specific monoclonal antibody. So why not wait till they have RSV and then just give them the monoclonal antibody? I don't really understand why you would need to give it to everybody beforehand. Now,
Right.
let's back up a minute. How many of you had heard of RSV when you were a kid?
No, not at all.
As you became an adult, all of a sudden you started hearing of others, well, they have RSV and they're in the hospital. You're like, what the heck is that? But you don't say
Exactly.
anything because you don't want to look like an idiot, right?
Exactly.
So you're just like, oh, and so you just start listening. And so suddenly it's a thing. It's this respiratory virus that infects infants and it can be lethal, right? It's very, very
Mm,
serious.
mm,
Where did it come from? It came from monkey cells. All right.
mm.
So during the first vaccines, so kidney cells, so this is a little bit of education, kidneys don't have viral defenses. So when they started to make the first live viral vaccines, such as like measles or the polio vaccines, they actually grew them on kidney cells from either like African green monkeys or from chimpanzees. In
Mm.
Africa, they actually would like sort of just grind up the kidneys and use like just the kidney cells right after they ground them up. All right. And then they would grow these live viral vaccines, especially for polio, and inject millions of people. So we're supposed to believe that, people got HIV from bashing in the brains of some, primitive culture and eating their brains, rather than that maybe that virus was in these chimpanzee kidney cells and it was simian immunodeficiency virus that then was passed on to humans. Same for like Ebola and many of these other diseases. In the US, they actually cultured these kidney cells and became culture lines. To develop a line of cells that continues to live, you actually have to let it mutate so it's like partially cancerous, right?
Mm.
In order
Right.
to propagate it so the cells just don't die off. So this cell line is known as Vero cells. And these Vero cells, again, they have no antiviral defenses because you can't grow a virus in cells that are going to kill it. So they ended up with all of these viruses. They grew the polio vaccine in these. And then they actually used the polio virus that they got from these cells, injected them into hamsters, and the hamsters grew these huge tumors. Now, of course, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't take the polio vaccine.
Right.
And when they found these tumors, they're like, you know what? It's probably one of the viruses, the many, many viruses, because it's called simian virus 40, monkey virus 40, because it was the 40th virus isolated out of these cells. 40th
Mm.
one. So they knew it was just a Disneyland of viruses. And the simian virus 40 is what I learned in graduate school is the prototypical cancer-causing virus. And I will go one step further to say that it is strongly associated with prostate hyperplasia and prostate cancer,
Mm.
specifically in African American males. Many people have not heard that story. But so this same process, another one of the viruses that through all of these vaccines and growing them in these monkey kidney cells is RSV. It is actually a monkey virus. And I don't remember the actual name of the monkey virus, but of course they couldn't call it the monkey virus when it started transmitting human to human, because then people would freak out, right? That you've got a monkey virus. So the origin of RSV is the vaccine program, and specifically it is, and I don't know, we're probably going to get booted off of Facebook. I mean, it'll probably go tonight, but like, you
Right.
have to like find another platform to stream it on now.
Right. Oh well,
Um,
I'm the guru of disputes. So
It'll be eventually streamed on Facebook.
right.
Somebody did counter, and they actually went and said, "Look, she's an expert." I don't know why
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway,
I'm ready for 'em.
so the origin of RSV is actually from monkeys. It's a monkey respiratory that was spread through these, programs, injection programs. So starting off, it should never have been there. It should never be there, right? So now the question is, what do we do with the fact that our infants are getting this respiratory syncytial virus? So I really don't think that vaccinating for a virus like RSV is a good idea. Now, the body does not make really good antibodies. It's like with COVID, right? Everyone's like, oh, we're going to have a vaccine. It's going to be perfect. And all of us who knew about respiratory, the flu one doesn't work. right?
Right.
They don't work. Your body, the virus changes too quickly. Your body's immunity for respiratory illness is a little bit different than like something like measles. The reason that they came out with that live viral, it's not a live viral vaccine. So if they haven't done it yet, it probably isn't going to be done. They're not going to make an effective vaccine. So now they're making a monoclonal antibody and calling it a vaccine, which was the problem with the COVID injections, right?
Right.
Having been in this area, we were all like, okay, well, what are they going to come up with? And as soon as I saw what it was, I was like, that's experimental gene therapy.
Right.
There's no right. I mean, I knew exactly. I studied those platforms in school, and I was like, this is experimental gene therapy. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, yes, it is. And you know it. You're just lying. And, and so, but the point being is, it was never designed to prevent transmission. It was never designed to produce any kind of long-term immunity. And then, of course, when it only provided 3 months worth of immunity, or any kind of protection at all, they were like, oh, like, what a surprise. No, they knew that from the beginning.
That's
so it's
right.
the same with all of the respiratory illnesses. It doesn't have any ability to provide long-term protection. So, we need to look at, so now they're doing a monoclonal antibody. If you want a monoclonal antibody, fine, but call it a monoclonal antibody. Don't like trick people with this. There's this vaccine myth that if you one and done, but we should have figured this out, because they always want us to come in for boosters. And by the way, boosters don't work.
Right.
Yeah, the boosters don't work. So when they want you to come, and they know that, but we don't know that. Like the average common everyday person doesn't know that. So they want you to come in, and when they do it in childhood, it's because they fear that the first injection didn't work. So they're like, well, we know that there's a certain percentage of the first injections that don't work. So let's have them come in for a booster, not because that will do with anything for the people that actually it worked for, but for that small percentage of people who it didn't take for. So it'd be better if you got any kind of shot and you could get titers to prove that it worked, as opposed to getting a booster that's just getting more risk of something and no benefit, right? So anyway, long-winded question to your answer to your question.
It was right on point. This is, in fact,
absolutely on point.
Sister Angelica, you were on her program not too long ago. She's here commenting, isn't that what vaccines are for prevention? That's why most get them. That's what we were made to believe.
Right. And that's the myth.
Right.
And it says, yeah, YouTube removed my show with Dr. Bark.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel bad because like the work I do doesn't get more reach. And now I'm like, well, I guess I know why. Like, I guess I'm doing pretty well considering like I'm so censored still. And that's the thing. That's the whole myth, because there are some live viral vaccines, such as measles and whatnot, that actually do produce close to lifelong immunity. It has to be a live viral vaccine, such as measles or chickenpox or whatever. But even though they thought that those would be lifelong, because when you got the measles, it was lifelong protection. But after 20 years, they found out that even those live viral ones actually wear off. And so here's the problem. So when, like 30 years ago, you're a woman, you had measles, you passed on passive immunity to your child. And then they would be protected, especially if you breastfed, probably till they're about 4 years old. And if they got measles during that time, which was not unlikely at all, it would be extremely mild because you were giving them antibodies through your breast milk and from when they were born. But most critically, they were protected for that first year of life. They didn't really know, but they found out later, if you were just got the injection for measles, that it didn't give you lifelong protection. It gave you about 20 years of protection. But because everybody in the population had it, so we had an older generation that was protected, right? So all of the older people were protected. And the younger people that got vaccines were protected too. And so we had herd immunity in general. But guess what happened to those older people? They passed.
Right.
And then as the people who had gotten it, they turned 20, 30, their immunity waned. So the thing is, for chickenpox and for measles, you have anybody who's over the age of 20 or 30, is susceptible because your vaccine is not protecting you anymore. That's why you get shingles. It's a form of chickenpox. It signals that your
Mm.
body, it actually resides in your body. But if you had chickenpox, or if you were exposed to your children who had chickenpox, it would keep that in check. So when you see these outbreaks of measles, it's almost always in adults. Many times it's actually vaccine strain, but it's people whose immunity has worn off over time. And
Mm.
so then what they found is mothers were not giving this immunity to their children, and they freaked out. They're like, what are we going to do? All of these children, like these infants, 6 months old, are really susceptible to measles. And that's the time that it's most dangerous to them. They're most vulnerable. Before, they had a maternal immunity that really protected them from getting any kind of a severe case. Now they're extremely vulnerable. They're like, well, we'll just give it to them when they're one. Or you see campaigns now to give it to them when they're 6 months. If there's an outbreak in a local area, they're like, bring your kids in and get them at 6 months. And they're like, well, we
Right.
can do that, but should we tell them that the vaccine won't provide any actual immunity until the child's like 2?
Hmm.
So they're lying to parents. Even having the standard immunization at 1 year, at 12 months, there's a significant number of children whose immune systems are not developed enough to actually have an immune response. And this is one case where it will prevent illness if you actually have an immune response, right? But they're not telling you that there's a significant number of children who that's not working for. And if you move anywhere under that 1 year, that was as early as they could get it and actually get a significant number of the children mounting a significant immune response. You move under that, I don't even say it's a roll of the dice, like good luck. And so then it's all risk and almost no benefit. And really, and of course, we have the signature study by the CDC that showed that Black boys that were vaccinated on time at 12 to 15 months were
Right.
more likely, almost 4 times more likely to get an autism diagnosis than those that were vaccinated after they were 3 years old. So
That's
we
right.
know
Mm.
the earlier you receive this, the more likely you are to have neurological damage, right? And of course, when they found that out, the CDC shredded the study and
Mm.
published it without that data and said there's no association between the MMR and autism. And then there was a doctor from the Mayo Clinic. Give me a minute, I'll remember his name. It's escaping me right now. But he saw these data, and he was related to the ACIP committee, and he was like, I wonder why that can be. And so he actually started studying it. And he found that especially Ethiopians, but people of African descent, have 2 to 4 times the immune response. They have a much stronger immune response to viruses, to specifically RNA viruses, because if you're in a high sunlight area, if your ancestors were from that, you actually don't. Viruses don't really survive really well because all the sunlight kills them. So basically, we come up from an ancestral stock that didn't really have to deal with these viruses. And when our bodies see them, they sort of, in a way, over respond compared to our Caucasian counterparts who actually were much more exposed to viruses in the cold climates and more indoor spaces where there's not as much sunlight. And their immune response is more attenuated. So the answer would be to, of course, give people of African descent, especially boys, a smaller dose, but they don't care. So, I mean, they've known this information since 2002, and it was brought to light by William Thompson, the senior scientist whistleblower, in 2012, and yet nothing has been done.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Dr. Christina, if I could bring it back to the COVID-19 vaccines, because there are multiple of them. The Final Call newspaper, which is such an awesome news source, it recently ran 2 issues ago. It ran an article from the Children's Health Defense News and Views, excuse me, which featured a recent study of 1.3 million women between the ages of 18 and 39. It was found that women who received the COVID-19 vaccines experienced more complications during pregnancies and were more likely to miscarry compared to unvaccinated women. I know that was a topic um, when the vaccines were coming out, women were talking about missing their monthly cycle, and there was this overwhelming amount of new, I would say, false information that was being propagated by the news media about, oh no, well that's just temporary. I'm like, how do you know?
Right.
Exactly how do the COVID-19 vaccines have an impact on the women's cycle and overall health, from your knowledge?
Well, we're still studying like the mechanism. There are several potential mechanisms, but what we do know is it's very real. I have a lot of midwife friends. I'm in sort of the natural health space, and what they're telling me is really devastating. And it's not just the people who are vaccinated; it's anybody who's had COVID. People are having calcified placentas. They're
Mm.
saying they're seeing many, many more complications. A lot of women who want to have home births are unable to. One, it is very, very inflammatory. So, and the spike protein, whether you got it from COVID or obviously probably much more from the vaccine, which instructs your cells to make it,
Right.
is going to be much worse. But it stays in the body upwards of 2 years. There's people that still have it. Your body does not like it, prevents the body. Like we know when we fast, the body like sort of instructs aberrant cells to kind of, commit suicide. But those that have the spike protein don't want to do that. They don't want to turn over. They don't want to self-destruct. They just sort of want to live on and on. And as they do, they sort of spew out all these really inflammatory chemicals that are very, very problematic. So one thing that I will say, one of the core issues is that these lipid nanoparticles are fat and they target themselves to the ovaries. So when you have that much inflammation in the ovaries, one, there's a huge rate of premature menopause, of basically ovarian failure, because of the inflammation that this is causing. But it's also going to greatly disrupt your hormones in ways that we really don't understand. So the hormonal disruption is probably one really key aspect of it that's going to be a little bit hard because your hormonal axis is so complicated. These also target the adrenal glands, which are also very fatty, and that makes all of your hormonal precursors. So the disruption of the hormonal axis is really, really problematic. And I think that that is a core problem that we really haven't traced down, but there probably is a more direct effect, especially with regard to, say, hemorrhaging. And so there's a couple of different hypotheses about why that might be. But it is definitely happening or was happening. I mean, people are, somewhat getting better, but they're still experiencing just a plethora of different, cycle conditions and all kinds of problems during pregnancy. So here's what's also really concerning. They did a study with mothers and babies who were either hadn't had COVID, who had COVID, or who had been vaccinated. And what they found, then they took the cord blood. So remember, you can take cord blood and you can get stem cells from it. And a lot of parents want to save those in case their kid gets leukemia or something later on. Well, they did that. They took the what they thought would be the stem cells from the cord blood. And what they found is that there was a really reduced number of those stem cells that make all of your blood, right? So if your blood cells die every so often, you need stem cells to make new blood cells. And there was really a reduced amount in the mothers who had COVID. And then they looked at those who had the injection, and there was almost none. And this may also explain why there's a really, really high rate of stillbirth in these cohorts. So especially those who are vaccinated, it was 80% in the first trimester. 80%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right.
Because you need stem cells to
make your blood. Well, I mean, that rate in the first trimester was probably inflammation, but but there was a lot of stillbirths, even late stillbirths. So miscarriage would be in the first 3 months. Stillbirth would be at the time that you would normally give birth. So, and then, but it hasn't ended. So, the work of Dr. Sabine Hazen, have you guys heard of her?
No.
Okay, she actually does stuff with gut health. and she measures all the bacteria. So she's like the microbiome person. So she has actually genetically mapped every bacteria in your gut, or pretty much all of them, and she will create a fingerprint for you. Because when you don't have enough gut bacteria, let's say you're supposed to have like maybe 200 different kinds of bacteria in your gut, and you only have 5, your health spirals, especially if there are key ones you don't have. And what she found was that when people got COVID, there was a specific kind of bacteria called bifidobacteria that seemed to be decimated. And she also made correlations where if you had lots of bifidobacteria, you were almost immune to COVID. And but if you didn't have a lot and you got it, it actually destroyed what you had and made it really hard to regrow, which actually like kind of predisposed you to every kind of respiratory illness coming around, because your bacteria play a very central role in training your immune system and in your immune response. But what's even more concerning is this bifidobacteria is actually transmitted from mother to child when they're born and through her breast milk. People think breast milk is sterile. It's not true. This bifidobacteria actually goes from her gut through her breast, through the breast milk, and seeds the infant's gut and trains that infant's immune system, provides an anti-inflammatory state for brain development, and really a lot of other key things. So it's foundational bacteria for the infant gut. A study that was just done about 3 weeks ago, or just published about 3 weeks ago, showed that 1 in 4 U.S. infants lacks any bifidobacteria.
What?
And that all of them had really, really decreased amounts. And so there are studies that basically correlate these bacteria to whether a child gets autism. So I'm seeing more and more cases of children who are struggling to speak, children who are on the spectrum, children who are having neurological difficulties, because an anti-inflammatory state is key for infant brain development. That is why breastfeeding is so important, because breast milk is extremely anti-inflammatory, and it provides the immune factors that protect the child while making sure that child is in an anti-inflammatory state. So that's one of the reasons why we see so much ADHD and autism in vaccinated children, because it is setting the immune system on fire, which is really creating an inflammatory state when the brain needs an anti-inflammatory state for brain development. That's why if they waited to do these vaccines after the age of 3, it would be totally different. However, basically these gut bacteria are necessary to provide an anti-inflammatory state. But when we screw up the gut bacteria in these infants, we're going to see children of all kinds having many more neurological problems, because that the brain is going to be inflamed when it's trying to develop.
My God. Oh, that was a lot.
Excellent.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
So I'll give you a little bit of hope here.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to ask, like, this is why, I started my website, which is vi-ta.org, vi-ta.org. And it's like $13 a month, cancel any time. And it's basically free, y'all. I mean, I'm like, I got bills to pay. So, I need the money. I can't. And its mission is to give people the information they need for health recovery. On the front pages are free on vaccines, COVID vaccines, all the childhood schedule. I paid for every childhood vaccine. But behind the paywall is basically general health recovery information. There are things on cancer. There's things on endocrine disruptors. There's things on, we just did one on gut health. So this is all really fresh in my mind, right? Because I think that's the most important topic right now for obvious reasons. I have a spike detox protocol. My goal is to try to save as many people from the tsunami as I can. Right? And I don't have the answers, but I can share what I know. So with regard to this issue with our infants and this bifidobacteria, Dr. Sabine Hazen actually has a case study where a mother delivered and got COVID right about the same time. And the mother was super healthy, and she took high dose vitamin C and vitamin D and stuff for about a week when she had COVID. And right when she got COVID, her bifidobacteria tanked because, she was measuring it, right? And then so did the babies. But the mom started taking the high dose vitamin C, and her bifidobacteria came back up, and the baby's was seeded properly. The baby got the bifidobacteria. Then mom went to a moderate regular dose of vitamin C and vitamins. You only take a really high dose while you're sick. The baby only sneezed like 5 times, so it never really got too sick. But the babies, even though mom's bifidobacteria went up and then it kind of declined, it really didn't stay where, in an optimal area. But the baby's bifidobacteria continued to increase until it reached normal levels. So it was able to form that foundation. And that was from something as simple as vitamin C. So she has shown that ivermectin, maybe because it's disturbing the virus or the spike protein. So one of the issues, there's two main issues with our gut. One is Roundup glyphosate, which is sprayed on our crops and sprayed on, and this is why we need to eat organic as much as we can. And it's sprayed on as a drying agent prior to harvest, especially on beans and things like that. And that's been decimating our gut for about 15 years or 2 decades. However, the COVID, it destroys your good bifidobacteria. It destroys your good bacteria. So she has been typing like all the different bacteria that people have in their gut. And she says she's never seen gut health in the crisis it's in now. Like there's nobody, even if you wanted to like donate good bacteria or whatever, there's like hardly anybody has any good that has what they need. And so what happens is you're going along and maybe you're like at this like threshold where you're doing okay, but then maybe you get COVID again for the umpteenth time, and maybe you're not even that sick, but you get a subclinical infection in your gut that you don't really know you have. It destroys those good bacteria. And then whatever comes around, your immune system can't take it and your health spirals. Like, and then sometimes you get reactivated Epstein-Barr virus, or you get Lyme disease, or you get mold. Like, I mean, your immune system just tanks without those good bacteria. And so people's health is just really, really spiraling. But she found that ivermectin could do a short-term uplift in the bifidobacteria, but that vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, all of those sort of standards really, really actually did help the bifidobacteria to reestablish itself in the gut.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Excellent. Dear sister, Dr. Christina, one of the principles in Islam, and it's taken from the Quran, is when you say one life, it's as if you save all lives.
All lives.
And the theme of this program is saving lives and to help save lives. So you've already touched on this question, but I just thought I'd ask it anyway to see if you want to add anything you haven't mentioned, because the question was simply, please describe your work, which is obvious. Please describe your work in regards to helping save lives.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like it's like a drop in the bucket. But I could choose to do something, or I could choose to do nothing. So I choose to do something. So, I mean, my goal is really to find the root causes of chronic disease and dysfunction so that we can help bring the body into balance. I really believe in the power of the body to heal itself, but we kind of have to know where things go wrong. And that's where, like, when you even talk about the childhood schedule or vaccine injury or something, you have to know what went wrong before you know how to bring it into balance. Was it the gut? Is it a reactivated virus? Was it aluminum? Because some things, like some people would be like, they pulled the aluminum out and their kid got better, right? But if that wasn't the cause, if it was a black boy and it was MMR causing, there's a whole series of things that happens there through the science. So when I gave my thing on gut health, I did it at my where I go to services locally, and my student minister was like, I thought you should eat some navy beans and we'd be fine. He's like, I had no idea it was so complicated. and I'm like,
that's a typical Muslim.
Well, I mean, and I was explaining, like, sometimes when you have the bad bacteria take over, they will use good food to overgrow. Wow. And so we don't want to gaslight people like, you're just not doing what you need to do.
Right.
That's not helpful. And so that's one of the things I'm here for, is to stop, we don't want to gaslight each other through ignorance. And we want to listen, because it is really complicated. And so a lot of what I do, like, I have people call me, and one of the reasons that I haven't charged so far, I may have to start, to just consult with people is I want to hear what their experience is. Once I know what they're going through, it gives me information about where things are going, you know, and the things that I hear from people, it's really alarming. And you know, some of these are brothers and sisters who are in excellent health and have excellent habits, and then I think that that is the point, and where I do see the crux of my mission is one, educating about the science of how to eat to live and how to maintain, but also explaining that, you know, just like when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in prison or jail or whatever it was, you know, he said there wasn't enough nutrients in the foods just to eat one meal a day, right? There are times when you have to say, in this case, this is not going to work until we can get a more optimal scenario, or for that person because of their particular circumstances or whatever it is. So we have to know what's going on so that we can bring things back into balance, and get people, you know, back where they need to be, and not gaslight people and just assume, you know, it's kind of like looking at a fat person going, well, we know you're eating a box of donuts every night when you get home. And, you know, like, and for women, like cortisol and stress plays a huge role in weight gain. So, you know, a woman might try to go to the gym 5 days a week, but if it's upping her stress level because she's trying to work and do the kids and everything else, then she might even gain more weight.
Right. That has happened to me before, honestly.
It's just not that simple. And so, you know, I really listen and try not to gaslight people, and really try to provide as much helpful information as I can. And, you know, one of the brothers came, he's like, I think you saved my life. And I don't really feel that way, because I feel really humbled before the scope of the problem. But I'll offer what I can.
Excellent.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I have another question in regards to COVID. And I know that you are, but just want to kind of just throw it out there. Are you familiar with the new COVID? And maybe it's not new COVID case. This variant called the razor blade throat COVID.
Oh, what is that?
Well, oh, so you never heard of it? Great. So, okay. So, I was, listen, I was on, of course, I was listening to the news. Well, I don't listen to it. I kind of read it now. And they was indicating that this new variant is out called the razor blade throat virus, COVID virus. And I was like, what is that? So what they specify is, instead of you getting the normal symptoms like fever, you know, hard to breathe, maybe a little fatigue, you start feeling like there are razor blades in your throat.
Okay, this is really interesting. So I'm going to have to look into this. There's a couple possibilities. So one is that the virus is actually infecting your throat and it's causing it. But what people don't realize is that, you know, you guys remember diphtheria? Probably not, right? Well, diphtheria was something that caused extreme pain in your throat, and it would coat the back of your throat. But it wasn't actually the bacteria that was the issue. There was actually a virus that infected the bacteria, bacteriophage, and it was actually an iron deficiency. When that bacteria was iron deficient, it was infected by the virus. It was kind of complicated, but if you had iron, you were okay. But in any case, it may be that the COVID virus is infecting a certain bacteria in your throat and causing an infection that way. So I'm really kind of interested to see what is actually going on with this. Regardless, gargle with some iodine.
Come on.
Gargle with some green tea. That'll kill 99% of your virus. Don't wear a mask. All you're doing is recycling the same virus in there, right? And
You tell my best friend that, because she's still wearing masks. I say, girl, you in this mask.
It's so dangerous. Don't wear a mask. And the thing is, I see people doing it because they're afraid they'll be judged if they don't, right? They're afraid, like, you're sick. Why are you, you know? I'm like, rinse your sinuses or whatever with some iodine. All of those things can be very effective. If you're that sick, just stay home. But if you're just on the tail end of something and you just have a little bit of a cough, then, rinse your sinuses, get a neti pot. So on my website, I do have, under respiratory illness, I have, how to nebulize hydrogen peroxide, how to nebulize a little bit of iodine. There are iodine sprays that you can use, and those are going to be way more effective. High dose vitamin C, some vitamin D, all of that is going to be really the most effective. And like, I would be nebulizing 3 times a day if you don't want your throat to feel like razor blades, right? Because when you get a little bit of iodine or hydrogen peroxide, and we're talking a very little bit, right, when you're nebulizing, and I have the whole protocol on my website for members, it's going to kill the virus. So you're going to reduce your viral load. So you're going to reduce the amount of time you're sick. And a lot of times your symptoms attenuate too. They get much better because you're reducing your viral load, which is the number of viruses that are killing your cells, basically. Mm-hmm. So you really want to do, like, these good old fashioned things are really helpful. Right?
Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
Because when I heard it, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, I do track scientific papers, but I kind of avoid the hype. And so It's not that I'm like completely, I did know this paper that just came out with the infants, but I really kind of wait till something pops up on my radar with the actual scientific paper. And I kind of ignore the hype, because if you followed every little rabbit trail, I really think it's one of their strategies, is just to keep us running around in circles and not doing anything constructive.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And spending a lot of money on product that we don't need.
Well, their stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm a huge proponent. I spend a fortune on my health.
Yes, but if you
it's all natural.
Right. Mm-hmm. But if you go to a CVS and the first thing you're going to see is, where can I find what I need? The first thing they're going to do is say, okay, this is for throat and pain.
Right.
And that's the thing. And
pick that up.
All of that is just doing symptoms. It's not reducing your viral load.
Right.
It's not
just the maintaining.
Not supporting your health. So yeah, and I think, I too, like, I made a major pivot during COVID. I knew a lot of this stuff, but I was never sick enough. Like, I never actually had it on hand or bought it. Like, I've changed how I deal with sickness night and day. Like, I don't, night and day. I nebulize, I take hydrogen, because you find out it works. You're like, why was I doing all that other stuff? And this is actually healthy for me. It's life promoting. All that medication is hard on your liver, and you've got Tylenol in it, and it's just bad.
Wow.
Well, Dr. Christina, just related to all of this, are there? I'm gonna have a two-part. This is a two-part question. Are there any safe vaccines? That's number one, and number two, specifically when we're dealing with these COVID gene therapies, because that's what it is. Is there any way to fully detox the body from them?
All right, I'll take your first quick question. Wait, what was the first question?
Are there any safe vaccines?
That really depends on your definition of safe. So here's the thing. There are some that have a lot less adverse reactions. If they were given in isolation, they might be okay. I'm not here to, but there's always some risk, and some have less risk than others. That said, like, I would have said the pneumococcal vaccine is a relatively safe one. Well, I know some people that they were concerned about vaccines. They had triplets, and they gave their triplets one vaccine, the pneumococcal vaccine. They all regressed into autism within 48 hours.
Wow.
3 children. Okay.
Wow.
These children are now 17. 2 are still severely autistic, and 1 had a partial recovery. Just thinking about that is enough to, and they later found out that vaccine was contaminated and actually had killed 2 infants, that lot that they never took off the market. Right. So I guess what I'm saying is, even the safe ones, you never know. It's a little bit like a lottery. That said, there are ones that have it has a better safety profile than others. But I do have concerns because like there were some that I thought their safety profile was pretty good. And then I found out like the different companies, pharmaceutical companies will introduce different versions of a vaccine into the market. And the end user never knows which one they have. For example, like the popular DTaP vaccine that protects against whooping cough. There's two versions of it by different manufacturers. One has 300 micrograms of aluminum. The other one has like 600 to 800 micrograms. So it has twice as much aluminum, right? So that's a huge difference. So sometimes I'll find out that there was a brand of a particular vaccine on the market that was really problematic, but we didn't know because they don't really tell you. So, you know, it's really can be difficult, but there are some that have worse safer profiles than others in general. So I would say the most dangerous ones would be the HPV vaccine. And the COVID isn't a whole nother, that's like another thing altogether. And the hepatitis B has a very poor safety profile. I would never give a meningitis vaccine for teenagers. I'm trying to think of the childhood schedule. And you wouldn't want to give a lot of aluminum containing vaccines at the same time. So, and one of the things is like with like the DTaP vaccine, there's no tetanus under the age of 5. There's no diphtheria in the US. And you could cut the amount of aluminum from that 3 vaccines in one by 2/3 if you got rid of those 2 components and just stayed with the pertussis. So, and then the pertussis vaccine, which can protect from symptoms, doesn't prevent transmission. So I always want parents to know that, so let's say you have 2 toddlers and they're going to daycare and you just have a new baby. Those 2 vaccinated toddlers can get pertussis, whooping cough bacteria and it goes around quite consistently from daycare and bring it home to your newborn infant that either is unvaccinated or maybe has only had one at like 2 months and give it to them because your 2 that are vaccinated, it protects against symptoms. Now the symptoms are what actually make you super sick, right? So that can be important. But the thing is, it doesn't prevent them from colonizing with the bacteria. So they come home with the bacteria. They have no symptoms. They're not coughing. And they give it to the infant. And when the infant gets deathly ill, who do they blame? They don't blame the vaccine. They blame the anti-vaxxers.
Right.
So we just really, we really need to rethink the whole thing. And I'm not like a person who's like, all this or all that or, whatever it is. But we do need to really have informed consent. Most parents are going to want to vaccinate against pertussis. It's life-threatening under 6 months. I get that. But we need to stop lying about the cost benefits.
Yes, ma'am. My second question was, is there a way for these gene therapies, COVID gene therapy, is there any way to fully detox from those?
So fully is putting another word in there, but so I have worked with Dr. Robin Rose, who I think is a world leader in this area. And again, I have 2 spike detox protocols on my website that are very in depth. I did not even put one on. I'm not one of those people that just throws out some garbage. I can't do that intellectually. So it's super complicated. Everyone wants to be like, take vitamin C on Wednesday and you'll be fine. Like no. So here's the thing. You have a genetic information that gets into your cells.
Right.
And it can actually integrate into your DNA. And it starts telling your cells to create the spike protein. That can then be packaged.
Doesn't know when to stop.
Right. Doesn't know when to stop. Can be packaged and sent throughout the body. And then many people also have a subclinical gut infection. Right. So they have the residual from the vaccine, but they also have a gut infection that's making spike protein. And we have found that it's the cumulative spike. So if you had the vaccine and then you keep getting COVID, you just, every time you get it, you spiral, like maybe you were recovering and then you spiral again because of the spike protein. So even if you've just had COVID, you retain that spike protein in your cells for years. And the cells don't want to, they don't want to blow up, right? They don't want to get rid of themselves. and they just keep spewing out these inflammatory cytokines and causing problems. So the question becomes, one, you have to deal with the gut infection, which is super important. And you absolutely have to get the spike out of these cells. So if you get the cells to blow up and release the spike, it's just going to go right into other cells. And while it does, it's going to create extreme inflammation in the body and possibly some sort of anaphylaxis, if not just general misery, and making, it could reactivate viruses, could reactivate Epstein-Barr, can cause all kinds of havoc. So whatever you do, you need to be binding the spike protein. So ivermectin, and I don't recommend ivermectin like every day, but like a course of ivermectin can help bind that, can help get rid of the subclinical gut infection. So I'm a big proponent of periodic ivermectin use. It's anti-inflammatory. Can be helpful.
Give me a ballpark.
I was thinking
every 90 days, every
2 to 4 times a year. I usually just do it when I'm sick because it's broadly antiviral and it's anti-inflammatory. So it can, and it's an immune modulator. So it actually can help bring your immune system online. And the spike protein causes cancer by about 20 different mechanisms. So we're all under this too, right? And if you have a subclinical gut infection, you have spike protein in your gut that can be causing cancer. So ivermectin is also anti-cancer as well, right? And they're having great results with ivermectin and fenbendazole in treating turbo cancers. So, but just for general people, I think it helps to clear, because I think a lot of people, they have the virus, even if it's mild, they end up with subclinical gut infection. And again, it's destroying our good gut bacteria, right? And ivermectin helps to reestablish the good gut bacteria. So, but beyond that, so we want to prevent this spike protein, whether it's from the gut going into our bodies, or if it's in our cells and it gets released, from going into other cells or causing inflammation. One of the best way to do that is something called polyphenols. Now, these are plant chemicals, substances, and there are specific ones that Robin Rose, and I'm just going to kind of tell you the story. I had her on, it was kind of like a God thing. And she's like, these plant polyphenols, luteolin and, curcumin and, and she listed out a bunch of them. And so she has a protocol called Medicinals 9 that uses these 9 plant polyphenols to bind the spike protein. So they bind it really tightly. And so when you're taking those, then you, like if you blow up the cells, it'll bind the spike protein because you're taking it every day. It's systemic. You also have to deal with it in the gut. So in the gut, what I found the best binder was something called fucoidan, which is from brown seaweed. And so you have to bind it in the gut with this fucoidan or brown seaweed like bladderwrack. So it just turns out that Brother Riza Islam, who was, associated with the nation, he was launching a supplement, and he asked me, can you find the science, just generally, can you find the science about these herbs? Why are they good? Like, what scientific studies have been done? He's like, I want the deep science. And as I was giving him that, like looking stuff up online, I was also working with Dr. Robin Rose, and I said to myself, well, which of these herbs have these polyphenols that are in his thing? So as I looked at them, I'm looking at them and I'm finding more and more of these polyphenols in his product, as well as bladderwrack and fucoidan is one of the things that are in there. And so it makes it kind of an all-in-one, because here's the thing. In 2020, there was a paper published in Nature showing that fucoidan, the sulfated polysaccharide, was the substance that bound tightest to the SARS-CoV-2 virus that they found. So basically what this paper was showing, published in 2020 in Nature, is if we all just take some fucoidan, we can cut this just nip this in the bud, right? We could be done. We could put it in nasal sprays, we could eat it in our gut, and it would bind the virus and we would be done. So that's what the scientists were trying to say, but we know none of us learned about fucoidan, right? And I was looking for a gut binder that was something that could nourish the gut, because if you take things like activated charcoal or even some of these zeolites or things like that, it can deplete your minerals, and you can't take those every day. You take them, occasionally. But fucoidan, it actually nourishes the gut. It's anti-cancer. I mean, when I pulled up the reviews on this stuff, I was like, how do I not know about this? It's like, everything. It's like breast milk, like, manna from heaven or something like that, right? So I was like, okay, this is our binder. And I actually refused to actually even put out a spike detox protocol until I had a safe binder in the gut. And it's also, fucoidan is safe for children. It's actually in a lot of children's supplements, gut supplements. And it's a prebiotic, so it feeds good gut bacteria. So
Can you spell that for me?
sure, I'll put it right in the chat, and then you can put
Okay.
it on the.
Thank you.
And you can find it on Amazon. I don't have a brand that I recommend. Brother Riza's supplement has bladderwrack, which is one of the seaweeds that is the highest source of fucoidan in his supplement, as well as many of these herbals that have these polyphenols that will bind the spike protein. So if you're not like sick and you just want something to try to bind this systemically, that would be one thing. Dr. Robin Rose, what she did is she used the purified polyphenols where they were all very purified. She gave them that. She gave them something with fucoidan and some other things for their gut. She's like with really sick people. So hers is very extensive. Then for some of these people who are really sick, what she did is she actually gave them, there's certain polyphenols, fisetin and resveratrol. She gave them at very high doses. Okay, so this is something you don't do at home.
Right, right.
And the fisetin and the resveratrol actually blew up the cells that had the spike protein, and it liberated it. And so she would check the blood before and after she gave those. She would only dose it once a week, but you had to have all the other things that were going to bind it, right, and pull it out on board, like that they would take regularly. But for people who are really, really sick, she actually filtered their blood and found that, yes, the cells blew up. They released the spike protein. She actually filtered the blood out and found the spike protein in it, and filtered large amounts of spike protein out of their blood through a blood filtration process called EBU.
Wow.
So it's not, it's a little bit complicated, but again, on my website, I have a whole section for that. So you can watch it and rewatch it and kind of figure out. The idea is you got to know all these different components so you can kind of decide how do I want to approach it for me? What supplements can I afford in my budget? What do I want to try? I did the science on his. Right now I don't make any money off of selling it. But obviously I sell a lot of it for him. But I really do think it's a good all-in-one because it has the gut binder and it has the polyphenols in it. But I do have more, like most people, there are more things that the more things you put on board, the more effective it's going to be, right?
This is amazing
All
stuff.
right.
We have to go back and take notes.
Wait,
Yeah,
listen.
that's why you can,
Anyone tuning in.
I use slides. It's $13. You go in and vi-ta.org. You watch the spike thing, and you take your notes. And
Did you give us your website?
Yeah, I'll give it again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, so it's right here. Okay, so it's on
vi-ta.org. And then again, the front-facing pages are vaccine information, but behind the paywall is mostly health recovery. So, we've got spike detox. We have 50 pages on how to raise families naturally with all kinds of product links on what to do if your kid has a fever and this and that and the other. My heart is I honestly cannot bear to watch what is happening to people's health.
Wow. Okay. That was okay. Brother Mark, I'm sorry. I was going to kind of.
I think we're Brother Mark.
You keep losing him. I feel like he doesn't like me.
Brother Mark is stuck.
I think he's stuck.
Doesn't like.
Yeah, I think he can't even hear
it. Doesn't like me.
Oh, there he
You're stuck in a matrix, Brother Mark.
I think you just don't like me because you keep popping out.
Y'all hear me?
Yes, we can now.
We can hear you and
brother.
see you now.
You can't hear me.
And you're moving.
Okay. All right. Okay. I had a quick question before I get blocked out. Dr. Christina, if you can hear me, what are 3 basic things people can do to strengthen their immune system in order to sustain good health? Uh-oh.
So, you've got to maintain your gut bacteria. So, some of those things, I think some really good things that you can do for your gut and for your general immunity are things like fucoidan, vitamin C, an occasional dose, course of ivermectin. All of those things will be helpful. I think like vitamin D consistently. Maybe I use food products, so I do like a fermented cod liver oil is super important for your immune function. I'm trying to think. Garlic. I think I took a supplement called Allimax when I get sick. It was really super effective, and it's just like it's like an isolated garlic. And so I'm like, we need to develop that, like something like that for us. I mean, I grow all my own garlic. I have a whole basket of it right here. I can bring over to show you.
Oh, wow.
And it's from the farm. The stock is from the farm. So for those who don't know. But so garlic is great, but like a concentrated garlic supplement can be helpful for your immune system. Let me think if there's, but in terms of actually getting ill, I think like nebulizing can be important. But vitamin D, super important for your immune system.
Yes, ma'am. Now we lost Sister Kalila. And now
At least you haven't lost me.
This is an adventure.
Like
we are
always
being
is.
attacked. We're under attack.
Well, I was going to say the other thing is like, I mean, you've got elements of the spike detox protocol on here. So like, I mean, you get this out there, and if you're able to publish it on anything, I mean, really like, I mean, I guess everybody's on YouTube, but like, I can't even be on YouTube. I have a Rumble account, right? So you might consider seeing if any of you have a Rumble account, upload.
We developed a Rumble account. A lot of us are developing Rumble accounts as like a backup. I know Dr. Wesley's page was taken down, and he had to like start all over. And then he mentioned that he was he got a Rumble page also as a backup.
Right. So like if you upload this to like Rumble, you'd be surprised at like how things will spread person to person.
Well, you know what? It's time to expand. We do have a Rumble account. I think it's time to really expand like that, Dr. Christina. Until Sister Kalila comes back, let's go ahead and keep it moving. And shifting gears quite a bit, the U.S. government has recently been increasingly banning artificial food dyes. Recently, the most popular one was red number 3, which it's been linked to cancer in studies, not from just a couple of years ago, but like 30 years ago. What are some of the common side effects generally of these type of artificial food dyes? Many of which are petroleum and chemical based.
Yeah, I have to admit that I really haven't done a deep dive specifically into food dyes. I know that they can cause hyperactivity and neurological issues. But, there's some things I'm like, if it's bad and you just know you shouldn't eat it, I just don't bother with it, because I'm just like, There's so many, like, I really try to find the things that like maybe people don't know about. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like, okay, you ate the Skittles. Stop eating the Skittles. Like, I mean, I love Skittles, but like, like.
If you already know it's bad for you.
Get the organic version of them, right?
Right. Guess what? Sister Kalila's back.
I'm sorry. Listen.
Okay.
We're all over the place. We normally are not like this. It's got to be our main functions today. But
we were just talking about Skittles while you were gone.
No. Oh, let me tell you, that used to be my favorite candy before I found out.
Life
I mean,
is so disappointing, isn't it?
it is. Let me, because it used to let. So when I used to, I played basketball in high school, of course, and that used to be my lucky candy. So
So
before a
now you can't
game,
play basketball because you don't have a lucky candy.
that's right. So that used to be my lucky candy. So there was like, they used to always, they used to always call everybody by their last name.
Hmm.
And my maiden last name was Blackshear. So they was like, Blackshear, you don't got your Skittles? I was like, yeah, of course I got my Skittles. So
Yeah,
when they started coming out with all the other ones, I was so anti all the other Skittles. It was like the red pack or no pack. So, but when I found out the toxics and I mean, because I was eating these things for years. I mean, it was like, Halloween, they was like, oh, you're going trick or treating. I was like, first of all, I don't do trick or treating, but hey, you bring some Skittles back, give them to me. But when I read all of the chemicals in Skittles, that just blew my mind.
So
I
I'd like to
bas-
segue to something that's way worse than your Skittles.
oh.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm always the bearer of bad
What are you
news.
gonna say, Twizzlers?
Oh, those are nasty.
No, I'm gonna say nail polish, fake nail.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Dr. Christina, nail
hold on.
polish has been
We
found
talking?
in
Yeah.
certain ice creams.
What now?
Certain nail polish has been found in certain ice creams.
You mean
Paint
the same
thinner has been
chemicals? I'm
found in
not
some
surprised,
ice
like propylene glycol or something like that.
creams.
Okay. So nails. Okay.
She's like,
Uh-huh.
I'm so nail
Yeah.
polish.
yeah, and our beauty products. So what they are is they're endocrine disruptors. So get this. There's actually endocrine disruptors, like there's actually placenta in some hair products. Clearly, an endocrine disruptor because it's got high estrogen content. But
Right.
nail polish is really, really super toxic. I mean, it's
Mm.
really toxic. And the thing is, all those chemicals are absorbed right into your system. They are fat loving, so they're going to go like right to your ovaries, right to your organs, your reproductive organs. And there's a huge amount of data that these endocrine disruptors are associated with, endometriosis and fibroids, premature puberty. It's in, our hair, like some of the braided hair has not been washed or cleaned and it's plastic anyway. So it's an endocrine disruptor as it is. When you put any kind of oil, it's going to bring those chemicals from the actual synthetic hair into your body. But if it's not washed, it's got like benzene and toluene and stuff right on it. But especially like the nails, because they're on there all the time. But your beauty products have to be clean. Your makeup has to be clean. There are so many. So they tested fragrance. So anything that's strongly, so, at where I go to services, we were using soap from the dollar store and it stinks. It's so like stinks.
Yeah, all of it stinks. All of it actually stinks. And I had a headache because I was smelling some of that stuff. I don't know
And if
why.
it
Don't ask me
stinks
why.
like that, it is so toxic. And I said, "Why are you buying this?" Like, it's cheap. So I went to the store and got like the Meyer more natural hand
Right.
soap, where you dilute it with water and it has a little pump, and it's lasted like 6 months and it's refillable and everything like that. And I was like, "What are we doing?" And somebody had Glade in there. I'm like, "Are we trying to kill ourselves?" I went into a friend's car and she's got an air freshener. I'm like, "You're trying to kill yourself!" And she's like, "Sister Christina, take a deep breath." They're like afraid to see me coming, so I can tell them how they're killing themselves. I had to tell my beloved MGT captain that she couldn't eat a bunch of sunflower seeds. I'm like, no, too many omega-6s. So they're afraid to see me coming.
Wait a
I
minute.
usually wait till I ask me a question, but sometimes I'm like, what are you doing with this air freshener in your car? They're like, I didn't know. I mean, I'm not accusatory. I'm just joking, but I am like, you're killing yourself. So anything that smells strongly. So one of the things they found was that fragrance, because it's like a proprietary thing, like we have the specific fragrance, they don't have to disclose what's in that. So they hide a lot of really toxic things as fragrance. sometimes it actually, like a nail polish, is because nail polish doesn't need to be fragrance. It's actually helps the nail polish to move, to work, and it's super toxic, but they call it fragrance so they can put it in there without disclosing that it's in there. So they found that 75% of the toxic disruptors were actually not disclosed. So they're not on the label. You don't know they're in there. All right. And the fragrances, especially the ones bought at Walmart, were the worst. Now, this is a few years ago, but like if it smells, if it's really smelly, don't buy it. Like get yourself some essential oils and get a blend to use as your perfume, get some natural soap. Like I forget that other people don't know all of this. But yeah, the beauty products, the, hand wash, the body wash, if you're going to Bath and Body Works. And the thing is, one in four U.S. women had enough of these endocrine disruptors to feminize her male offspring. So that's talking about smaller penis size. That's talking about the testicles not dropping down. That's talking about the hole in the penis not being in the right spot. And if it's having that effect anatomically because it's changing their hormones, it's also changing the way every cell in their body responds to hormones. So like males respond to testosterone differently than females do, right? And so it's sort of reformatting their body to think it's a woman.
Right.
So we wonder why we're having so many problems. Like 1 in 4 could be like feminizing their male offspring. And that was years ago. So yeah, it's really, I think it's, and then, if you want to ask why we have such high levels of fibroids, which is directly related to that. So with the fibroids, let's say you've been painting your nails, using all these hair products, you didn't know, right? You get pregnant, you have a female infant. So if it's a male, he's already feminized, woohoo, right? This is terrible. But if it's a female, the baby is more likely to have fibroids when she becomes an adult if you have endocrine disruptors in your body. So you are reformatting her body too in a way that is going to have an impact on her whole life.
Dr. Christina, is this why part of the reason why among Black women today fibroids are very common?
Well, it is very disproportionate. The use of beauty products by Black women is disproportionately high. I mean, I do have to say, I really believe that, we have been inculcated to believe that we are not beautiful and that we have to make changes to be beautiful. And then I think that psychologically has set us up to culturally use beauty products. And then once it's a cultural thing, everybody's doing it. So you don't want to be the person, eyelash glue, super toxic. Another friend, I had to tell her no, my eyelash glue. And then I saw her, we went to an event together and she's like hiding from me. And I'm like, I'm not here to judge you. I love you. I don't want you to, super toxic eyelash glue, so everyone has it. And so once that becomes a standard of beauty, it's very hard to pull people back from that. So I think changing our standards of beauty is going to be really important. And of course, we're taught to be very modest. And part of that is to not be pulled into that, to be okay the way you are.
My God. Okay. Can we have a moment of silence, please? Because
I know. I feel like
I was just watching you.
I hate, whether it was COVID or whether it's this, I'm just always the bearer of bad news.
I am. First of all, can we go back to the sunflower seeds? Because listen, I stopped eating Skittles and I start eating sunflower seeds.
It's like I can't win here.
I promise you.
Go back to Navy Bean.
Every trip that I go on, especially if it's a road trip,
just eat beans.
That's all I eat is sunflower seeds.
Yep.
They're really high in omega 3.
Don't.
That's right.
Brother Mark.
They're inflammatory. Okay, they're inflammatory.
And my husband loves them, and he's always have inflammation. He has inflammation
Whoa.
all the time.
So I
Wow.
have to tell you also, like I also
I'm
have
glad I
another
don't like
friend who, I'm trying not to list these people, but yeah, some people have told me they're eating a cup of sunflower seeds every day or two.
I'm talking about a whole,
That's going to be really inflammatory.
I'm talking about a
Um,
whole bag, like
huh?
a whole big bag that you can't. Oh, you can't get
I
them
know
from the store. You have to order them from
they're
Amazon
so
type bag.
tasty. Yeah, no, they're so tasty, but you just can't. And I had another person that was using a lot of like corn oil to make like how you make beans into like it was ground
Mhm.
beef or something, and to fry different things in. And I had to tell her, no, can't use the corn oil. And so she started frying in ghee, which is like butter without any of the milk solids in it. And her skin cleared up. A lot of her inflammation went away. I can walk up to people and I'm like, you're inflamed. Let's talk about what you're doing wrong.
No,
So I know. I'm just, and then the look on their face
just
when I
line
tell
them
them
up.
they can't have their
Just
sunflower
line them
seeds.
up. I just need
That's
everybody to
just like,
fall in line.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when I
Right.
tell them they can't have
Yep.
their
I'm like,
sunflower
right.
seeds, they're organic chips, which I mean, that's my downfall. Like popcorn is my nemesis. I'm like, no popcorn, and I know why, but I still want popcorn. Like
Right.
but yeah, so
it.
it's hard to be the bearer of bad news. And I think that like, I was saying like we need to have sourdough bread or we could make organic naan. Naan bread is, delicious. It would be thin, it would be toasted. You could get sourdough bread and they make croutons out of it and season them, so there's different ways that, I mean, I'm really a big proponent of that is changing the culture to something positive. You got to find something that people want, right? Like you can't
Right.
be like, we got to have our thing, right? And so let's find our thing that's healthy.
I gotta find another thing that's healthy then, because I am like,
Maybe sourdough croutons. I'm so sorry. Just like you just ruined my entire life. But maybe not your health, right?
like what? Okay. And honestly, I'm one of those type people that if I hear it, I'm gonna cut it out. It's not like, oh, I can't. Oh, now,
No, but it's
now,
disappointing.
as a disclaimer, my plugins, I'm gonna finish all of those, and then
No, you're not. No, you are not going to finish them. You are going
no,
to take those right out of the wall. You are
well,
not.
they're not in the
Come on
wall. They're
now.
already they're
Tell 'em.
already in the
No,
pack.
those are going in the garbage can tonight.
Oh,
I am not joking. I will take other
That's
people's.
right.
I'll like slap them and fight
Listen
them for
to the
that.
doctor.
Get yourself some
Listen to the
essential
doctor.
oils. Get yourself a.
and I have one. Look, I
That's
have
essential
one.
oils.
It does. Yes,
Right.
it's
All right. You
yes.
can do your essential oils.
No, I'm not. I need to. I have. Brother Mark, I don't need this.
Brother Mark,
I
look,
don't need this for
I wouldn't
you.
do that, Brother
I
Mark.
feel like
You
I
live in
feel like I'm being kind of
you're in the
borderline
same
judged by
study
Brother
group,
Mark with
same
the
city as Sister
squiggles.
Kalila.
Okay,
I
you
want
know,
I
to
think
Brother
it's
Mark.
great because this is exactly the
I didn't think
conversation
y'all
that
could
we
hear
need
me.
to have, right?
We can hear
can
you
hear
loud and clear.
you.
Brother.
I mean, we want to have these real conversations. This is where it's
Yes,
at.
ma'am.
Like, this is really where the rubber
Yep.
hits the road. And we have to acknowledge the psychological effects on us as well. We each have, because when you start making the changes and then you tell the people
I think they call it tell and shame the devil.
what?
He ain't say anything.
He didn't say nothing. No, but you know what? I mean, when you find an alternative, then you have a testimony. Like I don't do this anymore. I found a healthier alternative. I found a better way, and you're still getting the same goals accomplished. So.
Oh.
Hmm.
But about these, okay, so okay, I have
She's like, no nails,
no
no
I
plug-in.
have essential oils. I'm an essential oil girl. I love essential oils. As a matter of fact, one of my favorites is the peppermint, simply because, like, if I go to like higher climates, like Chicago, my sinuses is like it really like gets me there, and I can just sniff the oil, and it goes away. So I can totally agree that oils do save lives, or help life better. I I am going to mm,
Breathe, breathe.
Yeah, we need to send somebody over to do an
right,
intervention with her.
right.
Maybe she's okay after the show.
This is this is a lot, but it's a
Yeah,
good lot,
she's gonna
if
need
that makes sense.
She's gonna need
This
a.
is a good lot. Yeah, this is yeah. And I want people to tune in because I'm pretty sure everyone is like me, but they're not on the show and they're probably using some choice words,
Mhm.
about, what they need to do. But going back to, again, I'm in my, I'm knocking on 50. So the first thing I want to do is protect my kidneys, protect my liver, protect my, the things. And if I'm sniffing things that's not protecting these things, then I really have to
Way
do.
past not protecting. It's like pretty toxic. It's really shocking that they're able to even sell this stuff, honestly.
Oh, you just rubbing it right on in. Okay, all right. So,
But Sister Kalila, so
okay,
yeah, so I am rubbing it in. But okay, I worked
please
in an
rub it in.
organic chemistry lab when I was in college, and as a result, I'm infertile. All right.
Oh,
So, like,
Mm.
this is not like just something I'm telling you, and my life is great. Like, I honestly really believe that breathing in
Mm,
those chemicals destroyed my ovaries when I was in college.
Wow.
wow.
So, looking back at what I
wow.
know now, right? So, I got a spot on my hand and it was like this mole and it was getting darker and darker. And I went in and I'm like, take it off. And she's like, well, I'm take it off. Well, because I was working with radiation. Like I had a plexiglass in front of me, but my hands were right next to the radiation. So I'm like, no, this is a radiation exposure. And she said, yes, it was
Mm-hmm.
precancerous when she took it off, but it hadn't spread. So the point is, like, I'm not here to judge. Like, I worked with chemicals and, my training cost me,
Mm,
right? My training
Mm.
cost me. Not to be able to bear a child is probably the heaviest cross a woman
Yes,
can bear.
ma'am.
mm.
So, and I don't want other people to bear that cross.
Well, since you put it that way, absolutely. Got to get rid of that
Dr.
stuff.
Christina.
I mean,
She's like, what am I going to say
all
now?
right, say
Dr.
less.
Christina.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Christina, while our dear sister gets the moment that she needs, probably a few weeks, would you agree to do a part 2 with us? Because this is so
I ha-
much.
Listen, please, because we have to do the do's and
Um,
don'ts of food. I think that's
Yeah,
I'll
and you can all just join my
put you
website and
on
like, make sure
the
like
spot,
that
but
I
we
yeah.
would love it if you could.
can afford to,
I'm definitely doing that. I'm definitely doing that.
I'd
yeah.
like to correct myself earlier. I got a little excited. Paint thinner has been found in certain foods, not nail polish. I got a little excited.
Well, paint thinner is in nail polish, so it's
Oh,
same.
there we go. Okay, thank you. So
Yeah, and I knew that that's probably
that
what you
you
meant.
validate my
There you
statement.
go. You got it.
Thank you.
Which, paint nail polish was derived from paints from like airplane paint and car paint and stuff like that. So like why we think we want to put all that toxicity on our nails, and it's absorbed right into the body. So
Don't we breathe with our nails?
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know that we breathe with it, but somebody was saying like, there's anecdotal evidence, and I think it will probably be validated that hair is actually like an antenna, and it can sense electromagnetic frequency. And some people say that your nails are made out of similar things, keratin, as your hair, that it may also be an antenna. I can't validate myself, but I think it's an interesting hypothesis that may well be true. And yeah, like coating it with something is just not a great
That's
idea. And I would get sucked in too, and then I would paint my nails like 3 times, and then I'd be like, this is super toxic. Why am I doing this? So and it was a conversation like that with someone about, well, it being feminine to do your nails. I was like, but it's super toxic. And then I thought, well, you're saying that because you know it as an organic chemist, but let me go actually do the research. So then I did the deep dive and I said, now I can tell you it's super toxic and give you 42 different references for it. So,
Wow. Well,
Mm.
I was never the one that paint my nails. But I can definitely bear witness to what you're saying in regards to nail painting because I end up just I was like, oh, let me do self care. I
mm-hmm,
guess it's called self kill now, but
mm-hmm,
let me go and get my
Yeah.
nails painted. So
mm-hmm.
I end up getting my nails painted. And the first thing is getting that stuff off. It's terrible. You can never, it's hard to get it off. And then when you get it off, they leave like these little brown, like, I mean,
And every time that destroys your nail bed and it's really rough and stuff, that means the next time you put it in, it's just going to absorb that much easier. Right. I mean, that should tell
mm,
you how bad that is for you. But I mean, I think this really highlights a really important point is that like this is so cultural, whether it's the eating, like when I came in after reading Eat to Live several times, I had to kind of bite my tongue because everybody thinks they're doing Eat to Live. They think they're
They're
doing it,
not.
right?
mm,
They think they're doing it, right? And I have to gently say, yeah, like, he said you could use a tablespoon of corn oil in muffins because the temperature didn't get past 212 degrees. Like, this is a biochemical treatise. So when I look through it, everything is very precise. Yes, you can use corn oil, 2 tablespoons in some muffins because those don't heat past the boiling point of water. You can't use it to fry, which we're not supposed to be frying anyway, but we
Right.
do, right? Because that breaks it down into paint shellac. And now you're eating paint shellac and wondering why you're inflamed. So,
Wow.
so, when I
Come
walk
on,
in
doc.
as, and this is, I do believe God's leading, right? Because I spent, time in organic chemistry. I spent, 12 years after undergrad getting my PhD in cellular molecular and biochemistry. And then when I became a mother, when I became a wife, I actually did a deep dive into all the food science, right? I did a deep dive into all of these things so that I could understand it. So when I spent 20 years studying that, so when I read Eat to Live, I could validate 80%, 85% of it right off the bat. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at it as a biochemical treatise, and it
Mm.
brings up, it clarified a lot of points for me. It brought up a lot of additional questions that we don't have the research for, right? But that's just because we just don't have the research for it yet, so that we can understand it from a biochemical level more, right? And I think that understanding at that level will help people to understand, like, someone wanted to tell me that we're not supposed to eat sourdough bread. I'm like, yeah, it says it right in there, a couple of times very explicitly. And I was looking for those things. So I see them. But the point being is that whether it's for the beauty products or for eating, we have to create a culture where we're doing the right thing so that
mm,
the people that we're interacting with feel supported in their eating habits. And so a lot of it is just education, but like somebody starting to create sourdough croutons for something crunchy to munch on, or non bread that is sourdough, or just that nobody does their nails in terms of putting all the toxic stuff on them, or whatever it is. We have to create the culture because the culture is what naturally propagates itself forward.
mm. So going back to, and I know, and I promise you, I'm not trying to avoid this. I am, but ain't no but. However, you spoke about the HPV vaccine, and I know because I work with college students, and a lot of the youth is calling, hey, I want to know if the HPV vaccination is covered. Now, I was just curious as to why this vaccination is pushed on our youth to get this vaccination. It specifies that it prevents various cancers and genital warts, but they're they have lowered the age requirement, which is like 9 through 45.
Yeah,
But they
that's
also specify I mean, our youth are not even in a sexually active state.
right.
to get this vaccination?
So there's a couple of things in terms of you actually correcting the knowledge, out there. One, yeah, they're getting it so young, and it's really only active for about 4 years. So like, how's that helpful if you give it to them when they're 9 and they're not sexually active till they're 16 or something like that, right?
Crazy.
So secondarily, it only protects against certain strains. And what has happened is that the strains that it doesn't protect about, they actually spread. So there's going to be strains out there that aren't protected for, because it's just like, that's what it selects for, right? The strains that it doesn't protect for are now going to be the most common ones. There has been data that actually causes cervical lesions, and it can actually cause cervical cancer. Now, one thing that's really important is it was never measured whether it prevented cervical cancer. It was just, it's kind of like a theoretical argument. It stopped some of the very beginning stages that were measured within like 6 months, because you'd have to track people for like 10 or 20 years to actually see that it prevents cervical cancer. And in those studies that kind of track it long term, what they find is people stop going in for pap smears and for checks. And because there are other variants out there, and just because, whatever, when you start, the best way is just to get a pap smear.
Right.
It actually, there's no risk to it, and it actually is going to catch it better, and you're going to actually be able to take care of it better. So there is the argument that because people think they're protected, they're not seeking checkups like they should, and that's allowing things to progress.
Well, a lot of insurance companies do not allow pap smears under the age of 21.
Well, they won't pay. Yeah,
they won't.
Well, it's unlikely that it's going to develop that quickly anyway.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So they're not trying to protect from cervical cancer when you're 22. They're trying to protect from it when you're 40. And the thing is, 95% of people clear that virus from their body on their own. There's only a small percentage that don't clear it. So it's really, it's just a marketing thing. It's just a product to sell, instead of like taking care of it naturally, which you could probably take some herbs and stuff and help your body clear it or whatever.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. So this, I want y'all to know.
She's totally fortootled.
No, I just want you all to know that this show, I need this show, y'all. So y'all have any other questions? Because I have to have this show less than 2 hours in order for this show to be rebroadcast. Y'all can,
Part 2.
Okay, definitely going to do a part 2. But let me explain what happens.
If I ask my question, we're going to be here for a while.
Okay, see? And as you listen,
we'll reserve it for part 2.
Yes, because with StreamYard, you have a certain limit of time, and you cannot rebroadcast. And this show, I am definitely rebroadcasting. We
have to.
We got to.
Well, and again, I was going to say, you're not going to get this show on YouTube. So right now it is, because it's
right now we're on YouTube, but very soon
it's archived. We have it. It's ours.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, you're going to want to like upload it to Rumble, and then like once you start sharing it among the believers or something, it'll probably just kind of.
Yeah, because we have Rumble, we have Twitch, we have a couple of streaming platforms. Yeah. So yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I didn't want to cut. I just wanted to let people know how important this show is to me. I'm sorry. Do you have first of all, my brother, do you have do y'all have any questions? I was joking, but I'm not joking. But yeah, I'm not scaring y'all, am I?
No.
I'm taking away your Skittles, your nail polish, and lastly, your sunflower seeds. So we understand you're on the edge. Okay?
Yeah, I am on the edge, but it's a good edge that I'm able to get, somebody can grab me from behind, and, so I won't
fall
over the edge.
Yes, well, no, she ain't grabbing from behind. It's more like a pat on the back, like
No, pat on the back means I'm going over. I
sis.
need you to grab me from the
Let me tell
edge.
you about something here.
Grab me from the edge.
Okay, so did you have another question, Sister Kalila?
I did not have another
Okay.
question. But I wanted you to just again go over where we can find you at, because it's definitely going to be a part two. Because I definitely want to go over the eating, definitely rise the awareness of how to eat to live. Kind of combing through that and the stigmas of things that we were told to eat, and we neglected to eat because of. So those things I definitely know that we definitely need a part two. But
Yeah.
I just wanted you to share your handles, where they can find you at. And for those of you who, if she goes really fast, it's actually scrolling at the bottom of the screen as well.
Right. So probably the best place is Instagram, and I'm Epigenetic Healing. I was so censored. I was trying to be stealth, but it doesn't matter. They find me. So it's Epigenetic Healing, and you can see it on the bottom. I share a lot of video clips, like I'm doing 25 easy health wins for 2025. I also will advertise like which lectures I'm going to do on my website, so you can kind of keep up with that. But I do a lot of free health content on that website, and I tend to put the little header that tells you what it's about, so you can kind of go, oh, I want to see what she has to say. Like one I have is like on Atlantic salmon or something like that. Is that really a health food? So that was for you guys for sure. Don't eat any Atlantic salmon.
Don't eat it. What?
Don't
Oh
have that.
my God.
Do not eat.
What is going on?
I'm glad I'm vegetarian.
Oh my
It has to be like wild caught from Alaska or something. The Atlantic salmon is actually farmed. It's actually farmed. So I won't go into all that. But
Read it
so
and
yeah,
weep.
huh?
He's really just jugging at me.
A lot
He's
of
really jugging
a lot
at
of
me.
the issues with
I
fish,
just say read it and weep. That's all. That's all.
Dr. Christina. I know I said I didn't have a question.
No,
but
go ahead.
Now that you mentioned that, aren't there a lot of issues with fish that are particularly farmed? Like
Yes, yes, and I go through some of those in that video or whatever.
right.
Yeah, it's the farming, and it makes it pretty toxic actually. And like when you go out to eat, you order salmon, it's always going to be Atlantic salmon. So it's just things that we need to be aware of. And there aren't a lot of food options. I'm not a vegetarian during this time. I'm not sure, like the vegans, like I'm scared for the vegans because things like broth can be really, really healing for your gut.
Right.
So I think I do have a lot of reservations about getting enough of certain nutrients, not because being a vegetarian or whatever, not eating meat is bad, but because our systems are under so much stress right now that we need to make sure that, especially in our children, that they're getting what they need. And so there's a lot of things, our guts aren't working well to absorb minerals and nutrients and things like that. So we're seeing a lot of deficiencies that if the gut were working properly, we wouldn't see.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Wow. Okay. So we definitely got to do a part two, and I know that we can't wait because
She's not going to be on Valium for part two.
Yeah.
What is she going to say next?
I think
you know what?
I wasn't ready for this one, so I am definitely going to be ready for part two.
And one of the things I have to say, usually it's the sisters I'm talking to. I've been really pleasantly shocked at, even though people have like your response when I come back 6 months later, they've switched out whatever it is. And so for me, trying to help people improve their health, compliance is a huge issue. A lot of times you can talk to people, it's like talking to a brick wall. They're just not changing.
I agree.
And so to have people that are really committed to making those positive changes is really a relief, because it's like you can't help people if they won't help themselves.
That's right.
So it's really something I'm really grateful for. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, to take all those things away from people, but I know that it's going to be a positive thing in the end. So
let me can I make you listen? Can I make you laugh really quickly? Because I know I think this is probably divine intervention. So, of course, Bath and Body Works had like this annual sale, right? So I'm
Oh,
like,
man.
so I'm up late, like 11 o'clock at night, just trying to go in and get all of the plugins because I'm a plugin girl. I love plugins.
Oh,
I didn't
So
even know they had plugins. Of course, I haven't been there in 30 years. So.
yes, that's the only. Honestly, that's like one of the only things I buy from Bath and Body Works. I don't really buy a whole bunch of other stuff. That's because I do use a lot of oils.
Mhm.
Um, but I love the plugins. I love my house to smell good when people come in, right?
Well, I'm gonna have to see how toxic their plugins are. I mean, they're probably not something you want, but I suppose a lot of companies are starting to get better.
Okay,
They're not as toxic, but I don't know about them. I haven't looked in their plugins.
please
So
do for the next show, because so
I'll email you.
so
Wow.
so I'm online trying to,
Folks are gonna tune in. Man, I gotta turn this off. I can't take it.
so I'm on my phone. I'm like, oh, I gotta get these. I gotta get these. So all of a sudden, my order didn't go through, and I'm like, why did it not go through? So I'm checking. I'm looking at my account. I was like, I know there's money in there. What's going on? And I tried again and again and again. So, um,
It's
um,
divine intervention.
it is. And so when PayPal was like, we have flagged your account for fraud because I don't selected it so many times.
Right.
It was like, we
Oh,
flagged
what,
your account for fraud. I said, hey, I have until like 15 minutes or the sale is over. So I'm up like 11 o'clock at night. And so the order never went through.
Well, praise God.
See, God trying to tell you something.
Apparently so, because it did not go through. And I was like,
Oh, okay. There's one more thing I have to say, and we have to do it quickly, so we don't want to get you on your 2-hour minute. Since both of y'all are bald.
Oh, is something wrong with being bald now? Oh my God.
No, it's a good thing, and I'm going to tell you why.
Uh-huh.
Hair. Can I get some hair?
So one of my friends, this is a female, was
Ooh,
using Rogan to grow hair, and it also like made her eyelashes thicker, and she was loving it. Good look, right? And she was actually using, there's a lower concentration for women, higher concentration for men. And within about 6 months, she started complaining of problems with her cycle, really heavy cycle, a lot of cramping, a lot of pain, longer cycle. And she was sharing, and then finally, like, she said something. I said, what's that? What are you doing? And she shared that she was on that with me. And I'm not familiar with that. I wasn't familiar with Rogaine. I knew it was to grow hair, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
So, but I'm like, okay, like that's got to be toxic, right? So I look it up, and I find they say that it doesn't disrupt their hormones, but I'm a molecular biologist. So I went all the way to the biochemistry, and I'm in PubMed looking it up. And I find that what it does is it in your cells, like say you put it on your scalp, it
Right.
would feminize those cells to make estrogen. So it would make those cells make estrogen. But when those cells make estrogen, that estrogen is not going to stay in your scalp. It's going to go all through your body. So
Your
she was
bloodstream,
becoming
right.
extremely estrogen dominant by putting this on just her scalp, right? And then I believe that once she stopped, that things started improving. But the problem is that, like with some things like endometriosis and fibroids, once you get it going, it can be very difficult to walk that biochemical process back to health, right? Once it gets entrenched in the system. So the fact that there's things like that you can buy at Walmart or whatever, and it's actually causing, so if you were a male, your scalp would be making estrogen. Like nobody is telling anybody that. Talk about endocrine disruption. It's crazy.
wow.
No more Rogaine either.
Wow.
Hopefully that's not
No.
something. But see, there's people who are on it because, again, culturally, what happens is a woman says, well, I started using Rogaine and my hair grew really well. So then somebody else, so she starts doing it, not thinking, well, she did it. She seems fine. Do you know what I mean? And so this is like this woman to woman, like people share things. And so we've got to kind of interrupt the process. Like somebody's got to look it up. Like people come to me and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Let me look it up. And we've got to let people know.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Brother
So,
Tony, like I was using it for my eyelashes. I gotta do some humor. You guys are so
eyelashes. I don't even think that this. Oh, okay. So none of our banners are coming up. You all.
Let me just say something real quick.
Okay.
About Rogaine.
And it's called minoxidil.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like reading the label one time that if you complain about chest pain, go see a doctor after using it.
Oh.
This makes sense because it's going into your bloodstream.
Oh, go see your doctor because you're killing yourself.
Yeah. If you suffer from pain, chest pain, go see a doctor.
Wow, that
safe.
is
Safe. You're fine.
It's okay. It's making my hair grow back.
Well, and that just shows you how much, our desire to look good. And the thing is, the thing that we are trying to generate, and I hope to be an example of, and it's like no pressure, right? But is that radiant health from the inside out. I really am big on cellular healing. And of course, that is central to Eat to Live, but people think it's just a list of rules, right? But to really epitomize that cellular healing, because when you turn back the clock, like I'm 55 and I'm hoping I don't look, terribly old, right? Is to turn back that clock and show and be that example of that beauty radiating from the inside out, of full body health. And I think, and I'll end this. This is something we don't really talk enough about. When you detox all this garbage out of your body, our systems are made to connect with the divine. That's how our bodies are designed. And so things like fasting, things like detoxing, and these things are not just actually making us feel better or be healthier. They are actually helping us be able to be easier to connect with divine intelligence. So
back to our nature.
Right. And then when we connect back with the divine and back to our nature, and we can feel that energy of God moving through us, that is meant to activate ourselves, meant to activate our bodies, meant to bring us back to youth. And I think that is a central component. I think, all of the sort of rules by themselves are great, and so that's why, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says you can eat all you want, but if you don't control your thoughts, right?
My God.
So it's kind of like a tripart, mind, body, spirit. You've got to have your thoughts correct. You've got to have your body so that it can be a good antenna to bring in the energy of the Most High. And then you can connect to that spirit, and it has the energy to enliven your whole body.
All right.
Well, we got to do a part two before we spontaneously come up with another question.
I know.
Another comment. We must do a part two. To Kalila.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And for those of you who see the banner at the bottom, please donate.
just follow the banner at the bottom.
Just follow the banner.
7th Region Coalition. Our Cash App is $ 7th Region Coalition 29. If you benefited anything from this program here tonight or any of our programs, please make your charitable donation to that Cash App. Again, it's $ 7th Region Coalition 29. And may Allah continue to bless you all and your families. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
It is a high honor.
Stay tuned for part 2. Coming to a StreamYard near you. That's right.
Don't be afraid to tune in.
Tune in next week, dear family. Assalamu alaikum.